Raider Nation, it's time to stand up.
Hey, just one time, I need it. Raiders.
Third down and a long one. Jacobs back in the game. The rookie for the touchdown.
Snap of the gun. He's sacked. He is going down. Max Crosby.
Pass on the slant, complete.
Raider Nation, stand up. Raider Nation, please stand up. Cover 3 Deep Raider podcast here. Dwayne Douglas. No show on Oahu Raider, but we do have Monster Mash Ken, and we have a special guest on our show as well. I am, of course, I'm podcasting off the beautiful Pacific Ocean out here in Southern California. Out there in the Atlantic, we got my man, Monster Mash Ken. How's that humidity out there in
downpour today?
the downpour?
Crazy, raining.
Yes,
it's
yes.
like, it's so humid. It's disgusting. I walked about 20 feet to my truck, and I was soaking wet. That's out of control. I hate it. I hate it here during the summers.
Summertime, yeah. It's funny. Yesterday was National Bobby Bonilla Day in the metropolitan area. The best contract a man ever signed in his life. So shout out to Bobby Bonilla for doing that.
Go get that money, man. Got to get that money.
Yes. As we said, the best part of your week starts right now. RTPOW podcast is my Twitter handle. My Monster Mash Ken is at Monster Mash Ken. Sean Oahu Raider is Oahu_Raider 808. And of course, you can reach the show at Cover 3 Deep. And that's on Twitter. 858-429-9465 is the text line. And we have some questions off that text line. We'll get to that a little bit later. But of course, you see the man, the beautiful number 45 right behind his head, Marcel Reese, my man right there, Marcel Reese.
Got the new look at these. Look at these. You're gonna love it. Look at this.
Oh, there you go. Sign cleats. Murph from Raider Fan Radio. Murph, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Dwayne and Monster Mash Ken, appreciate you all having me here on the show, man. This is look forward to talking a little bit of Raiders football.
Yeah, always. So I just want to, for folks who are our audience kind of meet your audience. Who's your favorite Raider of all time? Let's just dive right in. I love that question for some of the Raider podcasters we have on. Who's your favorite guy of all time?
Right there, buddy.
That's Snake.
Kenny the Snake Stabler. I grew up, I'm of a particular age, as Wendy Williams said, and so I'm old enough to remember when Kenny Stabler was still playing in the silver and black. I don't really recall him, winning Super Bowls or one anyways. But not that old yet to remember it actively. But I grew up hearing these amazing stories about all the amazing Raiders of the 70s and even the 80s from my family, from my uncles. Hearing stories of Kenny and of the Soul Patrol and of Kick 'em in the Head Ted and Foo and Twos and all these amazing players. And so they were like superheroes to me. They just like stood out and they were larger than life. And none of them was larger than life than Kenny Stabler. The stories of reading the playbook by the jukebox light and all that stuff. And, I think no one personified being a Raider more than Kenny Stabler. And so he's really always kind of been my favorite. But that said too, I will throw another name out there to you. And I'm a big Marcel Reese guy in terms of modern players, but like the more I've done our show and the more we've really delved into like the history of the Raiders, Gene Upshaw has become, I think, one of my favorite players, not just because of what he did clearly on the field as a Hall of Famer, but he was, even though Stabler was the one that got all the attention in the books and the pictures with the girls and all that stuff, the de facto leader of that offense was Gene Upshaw. What Gene Upshaw did in the locker room and then going on to being the head of the players union afterwards. So I just have a whole newfound respect for that guy. And no one ever like looks at guard highlights. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to look at Stabler, goes to the post, the sea of hand, all these like amazing flashy plays. No one's ever looking at Gene Upshaw highlights going like, whoa, look at that. Anyway, but now as I've gotten older, I have a different appreciation for it and him in the game.
I think the only person looking at that tape is probably Tom Cable. Tom Cable's probably looking at that stuff saying, I love this stuff. This is incredible.
Up on guard highlights. Yeah,
exactly. How did the whole, Murph fan cave start? For some of our listeners here, how did that whole thing start out for you?
Well, it started off back in 2012. I started doing a Madden show with my cousin Sonny, and we decided that we wanted to be broadcasters, sports broadcasters, because we watched Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick too much when we were growing up. And so we had this Madden league where we had 32 active owners in the league, and so we hosted this show that was him and I talking about the games and the stats and whatever for this Madden league. So we were doing a show for an audience of 30. And that's kind of where we honed our skills, or if you would say, I mean, we're literally talking about into a phone back then and on Blog Talk Radio, and just the most primitive of podcasting. But that's where it started. And then ultimately we found that we just wanted to get to a little bit bigger audience, that we were having so much fun with it. And then, so we started doing different various sports shows, but we would only end up talking about the Raiders always. So we just decided to start doing Raiders shows. And so here we are with Raiders Fan Radio. Been doing this in this incarnation of Raiders Fan Radio since late 2015. And so, yeah. And so it's myself here in the fan cave with my Uncle Mosh, who's my real life uncle, and my real life best friend, Swag Jeff. And so we just sit around here in the fan cave, talk Raiders, talk junk, talk wrestling, especially when Ken is around. And yeah, man, just have a real good time with it, man. So, yeah.
As far as some of the coolest moments that you had on the show, I know you've done it for a while, so it's probably so many shows you've done. But is there a couple of moments here that have kind of stood out in the last, in the time you've been doing it?
Yeah, so there's quite a few things that come to mind. So our show's opened up a lot of doors for us, and in terms of like connecting, like with interviews and things with players and Raider legends and whatnot. We had Phil Villapiano on the show, which was pretty cool. Growing up, he was one of those guys who was like a superhero to me. And Phil is the best storyteller, not only in Raider Nation, but maybe all in sports. So, but the thing with Phil is that it's like, you just ask him a question and he just goes. We didn't do anything special. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, we just said, "Hey, Phil, how's it going?" He was like, "Oh," you know what I mean? It just goes into, he's just Phil. But not on air, but the coolest thing our show, I think, has ever done, and the thing that I'm proudest most, is our fundraising and what we're doing now. 2 years ago, we had the opportunity to start making money with our show, and we quickly realized we wanted to give all that money away. So we donated it to the Fred Biletnikoff Foundation, which fosters a place called Tracy's Place of Hope that offers rehabilitative services for young women that have challenges with substance abuse and domestic abuse. And it was this Tracy's Place of Hope was built in honor of Fred Biletnikoff's daughter, who was taken prematurely. And so we raised $2,000 a couple of years ago, and we were so thankful for that. It's all everything to do with Raider Nation, everything to do with our listeners, and we're just the vessel. But that momentum of fundraising, of giving, of community, of family, all the things that we all say as Raider fans, that it's, Raider Nation, it's familia, it's you know what I mean? It's us against the world. That's all. That stuff really like manifests and shows up when we do things like this fundraising, because again, it's Raider Nation coming together. And I can proudly say that as of last night, we did a fundraiser on our show. We gave away an autographed Darren Waller jersey, which raised $850 last night, just that alone. And this year we're going to give to the Biletnikoff Foundation in October $4,000 on behalf of Raider Nation. And it's such a freaking blessing. And we are so honored that we could be, look, I get to go up there, and you asked me one of the coolest things, look, I get to stand up in front of the current Raiders administration, current Raiders players, Raiders legends, shoulder to shoulder with Lincoln Kennedy, Fred Biletnikoff, Angelo Biletnikoff, and present this check on stage in front of all these people that I'm a freaking crazy rabid fan of. But none of that happens without Raider Nation giving and being generous and giving to helping them, you know what I mean, in this Raider community. So that's a long answer to your question, but thanks for letting me platform on it, because I'm just so thankful, and we are so proud of what that has turned into for us, the fundraising component of the show.
That's pretty good. That's really cool stuff. So Murph, this is my friend Ken. I'm not sure if you know each other.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Here's the thing. So, hey, I talk a lot. Can you tell I have a podcast? Like, geez, you got to shut me up sometimes, man.
Well, I do have questions, and as Dwayne mentioned, I don't remember if we were recording when we started the show, but you are also the reason why I started podcasting. And I got to sit down with you and Uncle Mosh and Q in
Yeah,
Tennessee. That
right.
was one of my favorite times ever as being a Raider fan, is that time in Tennessee. And I know that's your backyard there. Um, and you were part of that, man. You really made it happen for me. Hanging out with Gorilla Rilla. I remember I was just walking with Gorilla Rilla, like we're just hanging out, like, oh shit, it's Gorilla Rilla. Just all the different people that I ran into that weekend, and getting it, and don't get a big head, but I got to sit with my idol and talk to you. You know what I mean? And like that, and that was really cool. But anyway, I do have questions though.
Yeah, man.
So in Tennessee, we'll just kind of start with you and
Okay.
get away from Raider football for a second here.
Okay.
Let's say we're going, me and Dwayne and Sean, we get on an airplane and we hang out in Tennessee, which I absolutely can't wait to get back. Where are we going to eat? Where are you taking us to eat?
Wow. Well, okay. So we have this new cool place called Fifth and Broadway. It's right across the street from the Bridgestone Arena, where the Nashville Predators play hockey, and we have a bunch of concerts and stuff, right? So, and for the record too, for anybody listening, I'm from San Jose, California, and I've transplanted out here. So that's why I'm a Raider fan living in Middle Tennessee. So we have this place called Fifth and Broadway. Fifth and Broadway has the coolest, it's going to sound goofy, but it's got the coolest food court you've ever seen in your life. So upstairs in this food court, and there's all kinds of amazing shops and bars and all kinds of stuff. But in this food court, there's like all these like open bar areas where you can get cocktails and move around. They have spiked milkshakes. They have spiked donuts. They have like all this, like all different kinds of food. There's Thai food. There's tacos. There's sushi. There's burger joints. But we have, and I know you're going to maybe give me a certain kind of look there, Mr. East Coaster, but we've got a pizza place called Desano's Pizza that does Neapolitan wood-fired pizzas. That's the best pizza I've ever had. Just their simple margarita pizza upstairs there at Desano's. The best, dude. I would say this, that I know you guys, and you're right. You do have the best pizza. Like, I'm not saying you don't. But I'm not going to not ever eat pizza. So I'm going to look for the ones here that are the best. When you come into town, next time we meet, we'll go up there, we'll have some cocktails, and we'll have some Desano's pizza up there on the rooftop, looking out over Broadway. It's beautiful, man. It's gorgeous. So yes, that's what we will do. And yeah, I hope you don't get too judgy on me for the pizza comment, Ken.
You know what? It's weird because I've had so much pizza living on the East Coast that I don't like it as much as I used to. And it's weird.
Then we'll go get hot chicken, because there's a Hattie B's downstairs, and that's what Nashville's famous for.
Well, we sat down and ate. We did. I forgot where we went, but we went to when Uncle Mosh was with us. Yeah, and you guys attacked the buffet, man. I remember Uncle Mosh had like 10 helpings. Man, he was an animal. He was out of control. And Q, man, you guys are big, dude. You guys are tall. Like I thought I was tall, but you guys are giants. I'm like a little man walking with these big guys. But anyway, all right. We're gonna get back to some other stuff here, because I know you and I have a lot of the same interest, and I wanted to ask you, if somebody is going to watch Star Wars with you, what Star Wars is the one that you're going to put on for them? Like, you can't mess this up for them. You're going to put Star Wars, anything, the shows, the movies, whatever. What are you putting on for them to
have they ever seen a Star Wars anything before?
No.
Then it's Episode 4, A New Hope. That's it.
That's where you're going.
That's it. Because here's why: is that you thought I could talk a lot about the Raiders? Wait till I talk about Star Wars. Okay, so here's why I say that, though. I like Empire better as a movie, but Empire ends with an open ending. So I think for someone that's never seen the saga before, for a first initial entry, what hooked us all to begin with, what did we see first? It was Episode 4, A New Hope, at least for my generation. And so that, I'm older than you are, but that I would assume that was probably at least early on in your viewing. So that's why I would pick that movie, because it starts, it finishes, it's a completed product, it's done. It's not like all the other movies where one leads into this and then now this references that. You watch The Bad Batch, it references Clone Wars. That stuff might reference Mandalorian, and who knows where we're going to go with all these Ahsoka shows and all the stuff that's going on now. But that's why I would say that, because it's probably, out of all the different projects, start to finish, it's the most completed. Like, even if you go to like the prequel stuff, like it all references something else. Like, and the other thing too that's cool is that the way that A New Hope references things like the Clone Wars, and it references other things, but or the Kessel Run or whatever else, like you're left wondering what this stuff is, but you don't feel like compelled, like you have to know it to enjoy it. Where now I feel like almost like they want to over explain everything. So I would go episode 4, New Hope.
No, I'm shocked, because I would have went with Empire, but I like it. I dig it. All right. Next question.
It's the better movie. It's the better movie.
It is. It's
my favorite movie of the Star Wars, but for someone brand new, I'm trying to be considerate of them.
Dwayne's never seen Star Wars. He doesn't even know what it is. So I'm just kidding, Dwayne. I know.
This is not true.
All right. Next question. Kind of
like this. Hold on, I can show you this. This is what I got for my Father's Day present for my kids. It's a freaking The Force Effects Luke saber.
I have the blue one. I have the blue one. Yeah, and I chase my dog with it all the time.
These things are amazing, huh?
Yeah, they're great.
Aluminum and hilt and all that stuff. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. I love nerding out with it. All right. We're gonna stick with the nerd stuff here for a second. Yeah. Kind of the same question, but we're gonna go into Marvel movies now. So we have a friend that's never seen Marvel movies, and obviously there's we started with with Iron Man, and then the Avengers and Captain America, all these great movies that have came out. So, and I would comfortably say that they're all pretty good. They all have a good story, and even if you've never seen it, what are you starting out with? Like, don't take into account where you need to start watching. Think about when am I going to have the most fun watching?
Oh, Guardians. The first.
Oh, yeah. You're my guy, dude. You're my guy.
That's the most fun. That movie's such a blast. That one's got that repeatability factor where you could put it on and sit and watch it. You can watch it and play on your phone. You can put it on when you're doing housework. You can put it and fall asleep to it. You can. That is just a movie that can be on all the dang time. That I love that movie. Yeah.
That's a great answer. It's my answer too. I always say that for everything. That's like one of my favorite movies all time. It's so weird. I'm such a
Me
nerd.
too. It's Marvel Star Wars.
It really is.
You know what I mean?
Han Solo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we like Star-Lord, right? Because he reminds us
right.
of Han.
So it's funny enough. My dog is her name's Penny, but I call her Groot all the time. And then I have my daughter is Abby Rocket. Nice. So Abby Rocket and Groot. So it's weird.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, love right. It. All right. We're gonna move into some Raider talk here. So obviously, there's always just division amongst Raider Nation with the Derek Carr debate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got to come up, man. And I got to know. And I listened to the show, and I've had to apologize because I don't listen as much because of life happens, and I bought a new company and all that, so I'm just busy.
Congratulations!
But I do jump in more than you know, and I like the chat is one of the best chats in all. Thank you of podcasts. Those guys are great. You have so many characters on there, and then Chris Potts and I we became like almost best friends. We talk all the time. So shout out to Chris Potts. But anyway, Derek Carr. What does he need to do to just calm the waters here? Is it just what is it about Derek Carr that everybody hates him or they love him? There's no in between here. It's so weird.
It's amazing what a polarizing figure he's become, right? Because normally the polarizing figures are the ones that have a thing about them that somebody may or may not like. Like you think about all the pouty quarterbacks over the years, you know what I mean, that have kind of had whatever demeanor. You think of a player like T.O., or you think about those are typically the kind of players that create division or polarization amongst the fan base. Derek Carr is not. Derek Carr is like a likable guy. He's a good Christian man. He's a good wholesome individual, right? Like he's a great leader. His teammates love him clearly because look at even Devontae Adams said it would be a dream come true to play with Derek again. Like people they gravitate towards Derek. And when I say people, maybe not necessarily fans, but people in the NFL do. The only people that really are highly critical of him are the fan base and the media. Everybody inside NFL circles, no one's got a bad word to say about Derek Carr. So what does he need to do? He's got to win. And you know, that's sounds like an awful simple answer, but like, you know, if he wins a playoff game in 2016 because Trent Cole doesn't break his ankle and we go in there and thump the Houston Texans, are we having this conversation right now? Probably not. Maybe it's starting to get a little heated, like, hey, when are we going to get back there, Derek? You know, maybe that's the case. But I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. You know, like, why is Kenny Stabler my all-time favorite player and so many of, you know, the quarterback of choice for so much of Raider Nation? It's because he won. They named games after him. And where's Derek Carr's signature wins? Where are those signature throws? Like, where are those? Like, I can think of a handful, you know, like Michael Crabtree in the back of the end zone against the Baltimore Ravens, like, or Michael Crabtree in the front corner of the end zone against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, you can think of like some like, and that throw alone, like, listen, when you're running across your body and you're throwing to hit the front corner of the end zone, Raider Nation, go in your backyard tomorrow, run sideways and try to hit a fence post with a football. You won't be able to do it, let alone do it, hit another receiver that's another body that's coming in motion across. It was an incredible throw. Anyways, bottom line, like he has got a handful of those types of throws, but they're not like game-winning things that are like when everything's on the line and it's like, it's do or die. Like, those are the things where, if I'm going to be critical of Derek, and I'm not very critical of Derek because I do understand the idea that there is a lot more that goes into winning a football game besides just your quarterback. But I am a firm believer, though, you need to make those around you greater. That's what the great ones do. The Hall of Famers make those around them greater. And so I think that when there are opportunities there for Derek to seal victory, he's got to capitalize on it. Look, I know that he slid early in Jacksonville, last game in Oakland, and, you know, he got a bad ruling there from the refs, but you know what? Like, still, like, why does it always happen to him then? Like, there's always like an excuse. And I think that's why it becomes polarizing, because there's always a way to look at it and go, well, yeah, but this. Well, yeah, but Keelan Doss let the Hail Mary ball bounce off his face mask in the end zone. Is that Derek's fault? You know what I mean? So there's always like a way to like justify or argue against. So what you get, and then sadly in this world that we live in now and the way social media works, you're either all of one thing or you're all of another. Like, God forbid we find gray area and common ground anymore. No one wants to do that. We all just want to fight each other because we all have an opinion, which is the stupidest thing in the world. But so point being, though, is that like, so you get these people that are like, oh, Derek Carr sucks. No, he doesn't. Do you really think he sucks? Like, does he actually suck? No. Watch football. Do you watch football? The guy doesn't suck. Does he have a record that we would prefer be better? Yes, absolutely. We would want that to be better. But is it entirely his fault because he sucks? No. There's a gray area. Here you go, Raider Nation. Context. What a concept. There's context to these things. He's not this awful pariah, whatever. Like, no, man, he's a good dude. He's talented. I heard Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football say it the other day. Give us a reason to like you, Derek. And this is from a non-Raider fan perspective. Give us a reason to root for you. We like, and when I say like, he was using in terms of like on field, not as a human being. Like, give us a reason to like have faith in you on the field. Like, hit the like 4,000 yard seasons, all that. That's great. That's wonderful. If the Raiders are 10-7 and narrowly miss the playoffs, is he going to be our quarterback going forward? I don't know, man. Is it fair to have those further discuss? I think so. And let me say this too, and I'm going to shut up until I get fired up about this stuff. I think that this is one of, and my uncle laughs at me every time I say this because I say it almost every year, but this year I swear it's the truth. This is one of the most impactful, consequential seasons in Oakland/Las Vegas, Los Angeles Raiders history. And I say that because this is Mark Davis's really first run with the team in Vegas, because there's going to be fans in the stands this time around. We are now entering into John Gruden era where he is a 500 coach with 2 blips on the radar because of freaking Tony Dungy and Al Davis building a team for him when he came to the Raiders. So you got 2 blips on the radar, and the rest of his career is basically he's a 500 coach. Like, that's it. Like, that's the bottom line. Derek Carr is a guy that has not ever been and played in a postseason game. You've got all this like writing on this season. Like, I'm not going to say the legacy of the organization is writing on this, but the legacy of the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, you think it's rough playing in Oakland when, look, and it is, when you're playing in Oakland, you're playing bad and the boo birds come out and the nachos start flying and the F-bombs are flying and all that stuff. You think that's rough? Go stink it up against the Dolphins in your second home, in the home opener, or in the second home game. Go stick it up and stink it up again out there against Tua and those guys, and see what happens. See what happens when fans that spent $500 a seat to sit in the fourth level. See what happens.
I'll be there.
Start stinking up the joints.
That's me too. Yeah. That's me too against the Bengals. Yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
I'm going to the Dolphin game. It's why I brought that one up. But look, y'all, you guys know this, man. You guys have been Raider fans a long time. Last year, I swear to goodness, Derek benefited from the fact that there wasn't people in the crowd, because when he had a bad moment, nobody got into his head because there's nobody going crazy. Allegiant Stadium's going to go, it's still Raider fans. Yeah, it's Vegas, it's glitz, it's glamour, blah, 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 blah. It's still freaking Raider Nation. We're going to lose our minds if they go in there and play bad. So I think it's going to be highly, again, consequential and defining in the history of the Raiders this upcoming season. But what do I?
All right. So you kind of alluded to my next question. I got two more for you before I hand you back to Dwayne. Playoffs.
30 minutes from now, after I answer two more
questions.
questions.
We're going to go to part 2 of the Murph interview next week.
Commercial. We might have to do that.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Are the Raiders making the playoffs this season?
Heck yeah, we are. We've got to. It's the Raiders have to be undeniable. I mean, I'm talking about, again, going on to legacy. Like, what is the legacy of Mike Mayock? What are we going to see from these draft picks? We can all sit here in the fan cave and talk about how, wide receivers typically develop better in year 2. And so we're going to look for things, Henry Ruggs year 2 and year 3 and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, there's 4 other rookies that balled out last year. Now, So if Henry Ruggs doesn't catch up in a hurry, then all of a sudden, now we're looking at Mike Mayock. Drafted Cleve Farrell to be this edge rusher, and now what is he going to be? He's going to be a rotational guy on the inside. Fine, if that's what he ends up being, that's okay. We can use that too, but that's not what he was drafted for. It's like drafting Robert Gallery to be your left tackle, and he ended up playing left guard, right guard, and it's like, well, okay, well, at least he was serviceable. Yeah, but is that what you want out of your first-round pick? Like, come on, man. So I think these things are going to start getting defined this season, and so I think the Raiders, they don't have a choice. Like, they have to make the playoffs. And my worst case scenario, and I'm not a negative Nancy, but I swear to goodness, guys, again, you've been Raider fans a long time. You know that it's probably this is what's going to happen. We're going to be 10-7 in this new extended season, where 10-6 would have got us a playoff appearance. But this year we'll be 10-6 going into the last game of the season, lose it, be 10-7, narrowly miss the playoffs. And what are the Raiders going to say? Hey, we got better. We got better. We were 8-8. This year we were 10-7. We're on the rise. Thanks.
Context.
Thanks, guys.
Go back to the context.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine if that happens, if we're 10-7 and narrowly miss the playoffs? Oh my gosh.
Oh my. All right. Last question. So, and then another, you alluded to another segue here. You mentioned all these rookies, all these different players. I feel like we've had a really good off season with the players that we brought in. A lot of fan favorites out there, different characters. Who is Murph's favorite current Raider on the roster now?
Oh man, I gotta go with top. I gotta go with top of mind first answer, right?
Yeah, you won't get in trouble for saying Derek Carr. You won't get in trouble.
No, it's not Derek Carr. No, it's not. But here's what's interesting is that, speaking of polarizing people, I don't understand it, and I'll save you guys another rant on this guy. My favorite Raider right now is Jonathan Abram. Jonathan Abram. And here's why. And I was asked this question on Twitter the other day and answered it back. Why is it that Raider Nation is fascinated with the ones that support him? And I said, it's because he reminds us of Jack Tatum. Can I swear on this show?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
I don't give a shit about PFF scores. Darren Waller isn't the 62nd best player according to PFF. F them. Like, I'm sorry. Like, PFF scores it's a metric. Can you use it to apply it to certain things and grab certain understanding? Sure. Is it a be-all, end-all definition? No. And when you look at Jonathan Abram, when you look at the tenacity in which he plays and the confusing-ass defense that he was playing in last year under Paul Gunther, I think we're going to see a lot out of this young man. And I just love what he represents. He is, again, now I'm jaded, or not jaded, but whatever, tainted because I'm a freaking fan of the 70s Raiders, but that's what the 70s Raiders were. It's Jonathan Abram. You know what I mean? That's the kind of player. He's kind of silly. He's kind of irreverent. He freaking hammers you if you dare to come across the middle, or when he's watch him approach the line of scrimmage and take out Austin Eckler one time and tell me you can't appreciate that guy's game and that guy's ferocity that he brings to the defense. He's not a cover guy. That's why we got Trayvon Merrick. And that's hopefully now where those two can complement each other. Jonathan Abram can stay down close to the line of scrimmage and punch people in the freaking face all game long. That's what I'm telling you. I think he's awesome. I love now, and I know some of the production, I understand the questions, but I think the epitome of him as a player, that's a Raider. He's more of a Raider to me than anybody. I would have said Rodney Hudson before Huddy got let go. I thought Huddy epitomized what it was to be a Raider.
Incognito, you got to throw that there.
Yeah, Incognito definitely does. I don't think he has a track record yet, but if I could really give you one more answer, frankly, and if I really dug deep, I think it's Darren Waller, probably for, again, all the same reasons. Epitomize what it is to be a Raider, an amazing human being off the field. Like, you talk about, who do you want your kids to learn lessons from? Like, when you see players they want to emulate, like Derek Carr, Darren Waller, like the end, like, okay, watch these guys play, boys. Watch these guys conduct interviews. Watch these guys, you know what I mean? Like, just follow that and you're going to be all right. You know what I mean? And so the truth and transparency he has around his addiction recovery, like, I think he's amazing. So I know I just gave you like 35 players, but so I would say Jonathan Abram, top of mind, but then, probably best at his position, because he's probably the best in the league, is Darren Waller.
I love it. I love talking to you, man. And you're such a riot. And I'm still waiting to do the Star Wars thing, man. I'm still in for that. So we got to recircle that back, man.
Dude, let's do it, man. You and me and Kevin the Raider nerd, maybe Aaron the Q-Dog Raider. Like, did you see the Star Wars Super Bowl protest show that we did?
No, wait, what?
So we did, because of this stupid ass Super Bowl that just got played. We decided we weren't going to talk about it. So we did a Star Wars Super Bowl protest show, and it was me, Aaron, and Kevin the Raider nerd. And all we did was talk about Star Wars for 3 hours. It was incredible.
Oh, man, I got to go back and look at that. I didn't know Aaron liked it.
It was incredible. And so, yeah. And of course, obviously we know, Kevin dresses up like a Mandalorian, for crying out loud. Before the Mandalorian was a Mandalorian, Kevin was the Mandalorian, dressed up like his Raider Mandalorian. So we know he's in the bag for it. I did not realize what a huge fan our capo, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, is.
I didn't know either. Wow.
Like, crazy, like, knows more about detail. Like, yeah, like he's breaking down like shuttle Tiberian, like, security codes, man. Like, I'm like, what? Okay.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, listen, give my best to your family, your sons, your wife, your uncle, Swag Jeff. I cannot appreciate you more. And your show is great. If you want to draw, whatever you do, we will support you here on Cover 3 Deep. And I got made.
Yes,
so make sure you guys
let's
call 3
go.
times.
Let's go. Thank you, Chad. We appreciate you. And you've been in with us from just about day one, man. Strong supporter of us on our show, Raiders Fan Radio. So thank you, and your incredible kindness and support. And I got something to show you too. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab this real quick. I got it. He's now commandeering the new pirate ship that's in the fan cave. But this is Dwayne. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy. This is Lil Murph. So Monster Mash Ken.
I like that one.
The fan cave. How cool is that, man?
That's cool. That's nice. But the shield is no joke. I like that.
Isn't that amazing? Got my number on the back and everything. And I gotta say, so you were the first one, Ken, that ever sent us anything. And you were the first one that sent Lil Murph. And there's the card that came on right there. Since you did that, everything behind me has just about all been sent by our listeners. So this metal sign was made. by Ron the Materator. This wooden sign was made by David Love over in Scotland. This sign was made by our friend Scarlett Murphy here in outside of Nashville. This sign was brought to me by King Louis from London. Like all these things, like all this stuff was now been sent. And there's more. I got stuff from Ruben in Vegas over here. I got people just send us stuff like that because you sent that. And there will, in fact, I got this. This is from Stevie and Annie McLeod, who painted a Raiders mural on their backyard in Scotland. Like people send us stuff
amazing.
Now because you sent us this guy, and now everybody was like, hey, I want to have something hanging up in your cave. Let me send you something. So all this stuff, these footballs, and you can't see but just a little piece of what I'm sitting in front of, but everything I'm surrounded by, all this Raider stuff, these signs and everything has been sent by listeners, and you started all that. Thank you, Ken.
That's awesome. It's the fan cave, man. Yeah, it's my pleasure. But I'll throw you back to Dwayne, man. We'll definitely chat later on, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Something.
Cool, Murph. Listen, the energy is infectious. So I definitely appreciate it. 2021 season, before you know it, it'll be here. Give me a player who is going to have a breakout season and a player who won't be on the 2022 Raiders next year.
Ooh, I love that question. Breakout has got to be Henry Ruggs.
Yes.
I think that it's time for him to be the explosive player that we all know he can be. I know he can be. I mean, we've all watched enough Alabama football games to recognize greatness on that team, and considering what he was able to do in college, that will definitely translate. It's going to be a matter of creating opportunities for him. And now when you have, look, Darren Waller's our number one receiver, right? So you're going to have all the attention focused on Darren Waller. And now with him being able to work underneath and being that number one target and letting Henry Ruggs be Henry Ruggs. And I'm not even talking about just 9 routes all the time, stretching the field, but just like the quickness that he has in his route running and his ability to get open with his feet. Like, I think we're going to see a lot from him that, we kind of sadly, because of the way that Justin Jefferson and Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, based on those seasons that those guys had, it really kind of shined a negative light on Henry Ruggs. But when we drafted him, we knew he was a little bit of a project. We knew he wasn't the fully fleshed out receiver that he was capable of being. We knew that. But then it just kind of got highlighted when we saw these other guys balling out. So I think the young man is poised to have a great season this year. So I definitely look forward to what he's going to do. And then in terms of someone that won't be on the team next year, gosh, I don't know. It's like, is it low hanging fruit if I just say like Nathan Peterman? Actually, you know what? I take that back. Probably Marcus Mariota. That's probably the guy because someone's going to need a quarterback, and he's going to have, if Derek, goes down with a little bit of an injury or whatever, like he did last year, and Mariota has another opportunity to shine the way that he did in that game against the Chargers, someone's going to grab him. Someone's going to want to sign him to a lucrative contract. So I would say that's probably the most likely, because that's based on, and I say that because that's a little bit more of a positive take versus a negative take, that he'll end up somewhere else because he's done well, not because he sucked, because, I don't know, you pick it, has gone out there and, Carl Joseph and just had a terrible year, which I don't think he will either, because he's great. I'm so thankful. Cujo's back in our rotation at safety, but yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go Ruggs and Marcus. You mentioned
Cujo, having him back. I do love the fact that they have so much depth at safety in the secondary. This is one of the most athletic secondaries we've had in a long, long time. So we'll see if that comes to fruition there for the Raiders. Last one for me, another two-parter. Biggest concern and biggest reason for optimism for this upcoming season.
So I would say that really concern has got to be defense, right? And so if we want to drill down deeper into defense, I think that, I thought it was fair, at least the criticism we got in terms of the way that we dressed the interior of the defensive line. But I love that guy right behind you right now. I got a lot of faith in Solomon Thomas. And I think, I got a brother that he's a dopey Niner fan. Don't hold that against me, please. But I asked him when we signed Solomon Thomas, I said, what do we get? And he said, you're going to get a guy that's not going to dazzle you, but he's going to get you everything you need in terms of in the middle, sucking up blocks. And I was like, okay, that's all we need. Do we need to have Aaron Donald in there? Sure, that'd be nice, but it would be just fine if we had somebody that was effective enough to get us enough push in the middle to demand or to demand enough attention to let Yannick Ngakoue and to let Max Crosby get free out there on the edges. Because I think Solomon Thomas fits the mold of he reminds me of like a Michael Bennett. And the reason I say that is that when you look at the way Gus Bradley's 4-3 works, you don't have a bunch of big fat guys in the middle. We're not talking about having, I'm trying to think of who's that guy who used to play for the Packers, like Gilbert Brown. Remember like Gilbert Brown? He's like this 400-pound dude in the middle. Like you don't need a guy
Jerry Ball.
There you go. Yeah. So what we need is a guy like Michael Bennett, somebody who's strong, lengthy, can separate, right? That kind of guy. We remember Michael Bennett barely he would wear the kicker shoulder pads.
Yes.
Like he didn't look like a defensive tackle, but he would play on the interior. And I think that's why Cleve Farrell of our front four, where we got Max Crosby, Thomas, Cleve Farrell, and freaking Yannick out there on the other edge. I think that's a pretty impressive front four. So I think that's where I'm concerned, but I'm encouraged by what they've done because I think it makes sense. I can see the plan. The plans always work, no, but I get what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Listen, Murph, thank you for joining us here on the Cover 3D Raider podcast. It was fun, a lot of energy, a lot of fun times, man. I know we kind of missed some times back and forth trying to get you on, but I'm happy we finally got you on, man. I really appreciate it. And the cave, we got to send you, I might have to send a little something, a little silver and black something back there. So we can, little Cover 3D something back there. I got something. I guess somebody make something for us.
You know what? You would be the first podcast that has sent us something. I would proudly hang your logo somewhere here behind me. I absolutely
got to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to.
And thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate you extending the invite. Really enjoyed talking to you guys. Appreciate your Raider fandom. As I always tell everybody when I do things like this, I don't listen to a lot of other Raiders podcasts because I don't want your opinion to become my opinion. So I don't ever want to, play the mimic game. But I always, before I go and of course I've just known Ken a long time. But before I go and join somebody, I always dip in and check out what you all are doing, and what you all are doing is great. And so keep up the good work, continued success to you all, and thank you so much for having me, man. It's been great to be here.
No problem. Take care. And listen, I'm going to the Bengal game and the Charger game because nobody's going to be in that stadium besides Raider fans anyway. And when they play the Chargers,
absolutely.
You're going to Dolphin game. What game are you going to, Ken?
Going to the Dolphin game. I'm at
the Dolphin game. Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
Let's link up. So me and Sonny are going. My cousin Sonny, who
I'll wear my other shirt then.
Dude, that would be amazing. Yes, let's definitely stay in touch and link up for the Dolphins game, man.
There
you got it, man.
All right, Raider Nation, you know where we'll be at. So you know where all our shows are. So listen to every Raider podcast you possibly can because the energy is infectious. There are no Jaguar podcast shows. Come on. Let's be real. Raider Nation. Thank you. Thank you, Murph.
Take care, Murph.
All
Take
right,
care.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.